straight into it goes. Alrighty, here we go. We're streaming today. We're streaming today. A rainy day outside. We're streaming away. We're streaming away. Something that rhymes with inside. I can't think of rhymes all the time, you guys. I hope you're all doing really well out there. A beautiful rainy day today. Good day to stay inside and watch a stream, which I've been messing with the stream and the stream settings and all this. Okay, we're streaming. So everything's looking good. I hope you're all doing really well out there. It's, boy, it really poured today. It was just like coming down. And I feel like it's got something to do with, I can't believe I'm writing this, Canada has obliterated its national all-time heat record for the second day in a row. Hey Jeff, how you doing today? Good to see you. Before yesterday, greater than 45 degrees Celsius had never been recorded. As far as climatology is concerned, this is deeply shocking. Yeah, I should say so. Like, you got in Lytton, Canada, 47.9 degrees. Oh my goodness. This is, and this is only going to get crazier and crazier, right? Like these heats are only going to go up. And what this means, so I'm thinking about this on a day like today where it like really rained and it was quite windy and we had a tornado warning and it's probably going to thunderstorm again today. Well, what's going to happen, right? Like, is moisture is going to get sucked up off of this coast, right? And more moisture is going to get sucked up. More and more moisture is going to get sucked up, and our hurricanes are going to get more and more aggressive, right? Hey DM, how you doing today? Hi ho, it's to the stream we go. Ba 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 ba. And if we open our map, which as we all know, Google Maps, now's the time to open the map. I like the map. So like if this is all going to get like dried out, and we can see this is like already a fairly desertified area. This desert is trying to extend itself upwards. And I mean, stuff like this is probably going to help it out. It's going to suck more and more moisture out. The prairie lands are big under threat, right? Like these deserts are going to expand. Moisture is going to get sucked out of the ground itself. And then it's going to float around. And what happens over here? Big hurricanes, right? So you're going to get dumps and dumps of hurricanes all through here, which are getting larger, which are getting more erratic. And eventually we lose Florida, right? Like, because all of the moisture that is in the land itself is getting dumped into the water. And so not only do you have like the story, we're all familiar with the polar ice cap story, right? That the polar ice caps in Antarctica, right? That starts to melt and that starts to raise the water. Well, guess what? The moisture from the land itself is going to come up. And like, yeah, I predict major floods in Toronto, Hamilton, London. I feel like Toronto is going to be moderately okay, right? Because we're not, severe thunderstorm warning, Ontario. We're not, like, this system's, I mean, I don't know that much. I don't actually know enough about the lake system and how connected it would be to all this. But I feel like, yeah, like if the water levels go up, like Quebec City's right on the river, right? Montreal right on the river, right into Lake Ontario. This comes up a little bit, like this whole region. Hey Justin, how you doing today, bud? Yes, and people are watering their fucking lawns in 35-degree weather. Yeah, it's just like, there does come a point where you start to wonder, like, do you think that humans are actually intelligent? Do you think that we actually have intelligence? Or are we just reacting to the stimuli around us? because like this is going to be a major disaster for us, and not just for us. Like if we go over to China, right, like Hong Kong, like this place is under severe threat. All of these islands are under severe threat. Like all this stuff, and all it's really gonna and you got to feel like it's gonna be happening in the next couple of years, right? That like we're going to get a massive hurricane that is going to. We've already had hurricanes that have like wiped out major infrastructure throughout the eastern seaboard, right? We all remember like the Sandy Hook scandal with what's his name. Yeah, reaction to stimuli for sure. With what Alex Jones and the Sandy Hook thing, and like these hurricanes came and they destroyed a bunch of territory, and they didn't bother rebuilding any of it. They basically just abandoned it because they were like, well, we're gonna just sacrifice like this coast is just gonna be a complete and total sacrifice zone for American capitalism, because they're just gonna be like, there's no reason to rebuild it, like it's just gonna get wiped out again. And you don't know where the coast is going to recede to. But then on top of that, like, okay, so forget about the coasts, right? This by itself is a major issue. Like, this is a major crisis. Like, this should be considered like a national security threat. Like, if this is not a national security threat, what is a national security threat, right? Like, you're talking about the desertification of your country in major significant ways. And no data. Reconnection successful. Uh-oh. Are we back? Are we streaming again? Are we back? Uh-oh. Somebody tell me, are we back? Are you seeing me? Somebody tell me in the chat. Ugh, I'm so worried that the weather is just gonna knock us right out. Okay, good. We're back. Hey, beer drinker, how you doing, bud? Hey, Ward, how you guys all doing today? Good to see you. And I'm also really terrified because I've messed with the live stream settings. I have like a different program that I'm trying to get because I'm trying to introduce a donation system so that you donate and like a thing pops up. And I couldn't quite get it working for today's stream, so I went back to my old thing, but I had messed with some settings, and so I'm terrified that the stream is just going to fall apart, and with the weather and like all this kind of stuff, so I'm terrified this stream is just going to fall apart on me today. And I'm trying to get it so that like every so often a capitalist comes in here and starts trying to take over the stream the way that capitalists do, right? They come in and try to take shit over. And so I'm going to start telling them, like, we're not going to engage with you unless you donate, right? Put some money on the table, because lots of people in the stream have put the money on the table. Put some money on the table, and then we can talk. Because I'm getting tired of answering the same questions over and over and over again. I'm getting tired of the stream getting derailed by these capitalists who are not actually participating outside of just spreading their shit around, right? So I'm trying to introduce that. It didn't quite work today, so I think tonight I'm going to dedicate some time. So if you see me live streaming at around midnight, that's what I'm doing. I'm just testing this system to see if it is even getting me online. That would be step one, right? Get online. And then on top of that, there's going to be like a bunch of stuff where I'll need somebody to actually donate to me and see if it actually activates this widget and all this kind of stuff. And I am too old for this, damn it. I feel like this is like if I was an 18-year-old, I'd be like, oh yeah, then you do this and this and you plug this in and all that kind of stuff and all that, and it's great. I feel like when you're a kid these days, you're basically born with a user manual to YouTube, like downloaded into your brain, Neo Matrix style. And here I am, like 38 years old, being like, tell me about YouTube? Yeah, that's basically where I'm at. I love this tweet from Jeff Tiedrich. Hey kids, it's me, your favorite sexagenarian, here to tell you that when I was a kid, the top tax rate was 90%, and not only did our country have money for bridges and schools and moon rockets, but we had rich people too, and they had plenty of money to spend on rich people bullshit. And then Tom responds with, the 90% rate was actually used as an incentive for them to invest their money. that did good for all, rather than just sit on the income and lose that 90%. 100% true statement. Like, we're really learning that if you don't put like a top marginal rate on these guys, they do just sit on it. That if you actually want the money to trickle down into your economy and not trickle into like a Jeffrey Epstein pedophile sex island or something like that, you've got to set a tax rate, a marginal tax rate of like 100% over $1 million. That's what I'm advocating for. That's what I push for. I say if we are making if you make $1 million this year, anything above that is taxed at 100%. You don't need more than that. You don't. Like, what are you using that money for? Fuck all. Nothing. You're using it to funnel into Jeffrey Epstein's sex island. That's what you're using it for. So, we should definitely, yeah, or a yacht for Jeff Bezos. Yeah, right. Like, and or like these ridiculous houses, right? How you doing today, Robin? Good to see you. Good to see you in here. As you can see, right, I'm trying how to set up a tipping system for YouTube videos. That's what I was doing all last night. Hate knowing that not only could every renter buy a house, every renter actually is buying a house. We are servicing a home loan, covering rates and paying for repairs. We just don't get to keep the house. Someone else does because they had capital and we didn't. It's getting obvious, right? I believe his yacht actually has a sub-yacht. Yeah, like it's like a yacht inside of the yacht where he can like take it out so he can like drive it around. Like these guys have too much money. Like it's the kind of thing where you look at it and you're just like, this is something that like a child would invent. I'm gonna have a big boat. It'll be the biggest boat we've ever seen. It'll be so big. It'll be the biggest boat. And it'll have like 1,000 rooms and like a pool in the yacht. And then inside of the yacht, there's gonna be a littler yacht we can get into if we need to like zip around. And then inside of that yacht, there's gonna be a little ski-doo that you can go and ski-doo with. Like you're a little fucking kid, right? Like meanwhile, in the city you live, there's like homeless villages piling up, right? Like you're sitting in your $500 million house that could literally by itself house all of the homeless people in the city. But no, can't do that. Yeah, the whole business of shaping society is that the youngins with their RPG knowledge can make things happen quickly in real life. Yeah, well, and DM, you're exactly right here. Rich people do have the minds of a child because they've never had to grow up. They literally went like into school and school grew them up, and they of course were the ones who were the obedient ones. Just do what you're told, right? So they go through school, and then they go through university, just doing what they're told, and then they go and get the job, just doing what they're told, right? And so they've never actually had an independent thought. They've just always done what they've been told to do. And now they're in this position where that's garnered them an awful lot of wealth because everyone loves it when you do what they tell them to do. But the problem is that now that game's no longer working, right? Doing what you're told now no longer benefits you anything. It doesn't result in anything. Like I know people who literally did what they were told, made all the correct decisions, they can't get a house. They're not going to be able to build any kind of single generation wealth, right? Like I have friends who have kids and they're saying like, yep, my plan is to just get as much wealth built up as I can for them. That's the plan. And I'm like, that's not good. Like that's not good. That's how you build a feudal society, right? Like you're building like this idea that I can't build wealth for myself. I've got to build wealth for the next generation, right? Like that's kind of terrifying. I mean, just an iconic sort of picture here. Nelson Mandela, the communist flag behind him. Brilliant. And I do think that, Ward, you're onto something too as well, that like, I think that like video games, as much as the older generation has shit on us for being like, oh, kids will just sit around and play video games, but video games have helped people understand systems better, right? Like the idea that the economy is cyclical, right? Like I feel like people who don't play video games, they don't really understand how an economy actually works in a cyclical manner, right? That like you literally talk to somebody and they're like, oh, if that person spent, like, if we give money to poor people, they'll just waste it. And you look at them and you're like, that is not a thing, right? A poor person literally cannot, like, what are they doing with this money? Are they burning it? Like, are they literally taking it and burning it? Because that's the only way that you would actually waste money, right? If they turn around and spend that money on literally anything, well, that's cycles, right? And I feel like the people who don't play video games and aren't connected to like games and things like, and systems that exist within those games, don't understand that economies are cyclical. And exactly, Marx was a gamer, confirmed. You got it, Robin. He was. Don't you think? Hold on. Don't you? Let's play a bit of a game here. Let's have some fun. Brief moment. Karl Marx. What D&D class do you guys think? Huh? Karl Marx. Which D&D class? I don't know. I'm kind of torn, actually. I'm kind of torn. Like, wizard obviously pops up. Like, you could just put a wizard hat on this guy. I bet you somebody has done that. Karl Marx, Gandalf. Like, yeah, absolutely, right? Like, this guy is just like... Anyway. Let's... Beard length. Here we go. Marx, Santa, Saruman, Dumbledore, Saruman, Gandalf. People are weird, man. We do all kinds of weird stuff all the time. I love it. You know what? That might be the case. He's got the beard, right? He's got the beard. He's kind of got the look. All he needs is like a staff, right? What? Bunch of nerds. What? Robin. So, the heat wave. We're back to it. Unbelievable. Justin, me unemployed due to disability and the panorama? Okay. Like, I just, right now, like, looking at this situation here, what do you guys think the number one thing that we could all do in order to stop this kind of shit from happening? And the number one thing that we could all do is nothing. Just stop doing shit. I don't mean nothing as in continue doing capitalism. I mean literally just stop doing capitalism. Just stop doing it. When the pandemic happened, and we all like cloistered inside and stopped doing stuff, well, the earth started to heal itself. Because that's what the earth does. Yeah, 47.9 degrees Celsius. And that breaks the record that was set literally yesterday, right? Yesterday set a record for all-time heat in Canada, and today we broke the record again. And I was just saying before you were here, Robin, like, what do you think that's going to do? Like, here's a big desert system, right? West Coast going through a big heat wave. Well, this desert system's going to expand itself as moisture is sucked out of the earth, and then with the melting ice caps and with Antarctica melting, as well as the moisture being sucked out of the earth itself, you're going to get these huge hurricane systems in the area where the hurricanes always happen. And it's just going to wipe out Florida. It's going to wipe out the eastern seaboard in big, huge ways. Oh, yeah, exactly, right? Exactly. That the pandemic and all of these things are coming along, and it doesn't matter what you do anymore. Right? That the universe is going to have its say, and it's just going to wipe us out. It's just going to wipe us out in significant ways, right? Like, in significant ways. Like, I used to live on the beach, and I moved away from the beach, and it wasn't because of this, but, like, if the water goes up, like, not very much, like, this beach is toast. Planes not flying made environmental news. Exactly. Ground these planes. What do we need all this shit for? Like, what do we need to be doing any of this for? Right? Oh, yeah. Like, things are just going to get ridiculous. And they're going to get more ridiculous. And it's all so that Jeff Bezos can have his goddamn super yacht. Right? And it's so that Donald Trump and Bill Gates can go to Jeffrey Epstein's pedophile island. Right? Like, this... It's so exhausting to keep talking about. Reminder that the Squad are a group of genocidal LARPers for a far-right regime in decline. Today openly funding the genocide of Palestinians. Stop treating regime employees like your friends. This is coming from, send in the tanks. Slave-owning feudal lord, the Dalai Lama, and reactionary Tibetan secessionists are longtime CIA assets used by the U.S. empire to try to balkanize China. Yeah. And I mean, like, it's very difficult for me to believe that AOC and the squad generally think in these terms, right? Hey, Demand Better, how you doing? Dude, let's save the environment. They're going to be completely fine, right? The Earth is going to be completely fine. The Earth doesn't care if it turns itself into a desert. The environment doesn't care if it turns itself into like Mars is fine. The environment of Mars is completely fine. We're fucked. We're the ones. Let's stop saying let's save the environment and start saying let's save ourselves. This is the level of delusion that we've hit, you guys, is that we have a system that actively tells everybody that it's a selfish, greedy, self-interested, every man for themselves system that they're actively working to destroy themselves. Like, that's the hysterical absurdity of it. That we're like literally saying out loud, no, it's you got to do right by yourself, and selfishness is good and greed is good, but we're going to destroy the ecosystem upon which even the selfish sociopaths depend. Like, we have lost our fucking minds. We've lost our ability to even rationally perceive and think, and I do think that like large sections of humanity, the United States is specifically what I'm thinking about, are plunging themselves into a suicide decline, that they're doing it on purpose, right? You've got huge numbers of military personnel coming back from these wars where they're destroying everything, and they're coming back and they're committing suicide, and you got to think like it's infected the consciousness of our people. Don't worry, peasants. Alberta will be emission-free by 2050. Yep. I imagine the Earth would be emission-free by 2050 once the sun has burned us off the face of it, right? Like you said many times, maybe butchering this, the rich would rather rule in hell than serve in heaven. That's exactly the quote, dude. You nailed it. That quote comes from Milton, John Milton, that his opinion of the devil, and I believe it was a quote that the devil, like Lucifer himself, said, that it was better to rule in hell than serve in heaven. Which, of course, speaks to the great arrogance and sin of Lucifer. But I am genuinely not worried about the population situation. Like, I think that the population conversation is being seized by neo-fascists and eco-fascists in order to inflict suffering and harm on the weak and the vulnerable. The Earth can sustain the population we have and even a little bit more, right? The food services we have, all of the kind of stuff that we have, we can sustain it. It's just we're making incredibly stupid decisions, right? What are the things that are destroying us? The things that are destroying us are the transportation industry, right? Like the 401 here in Toronto, right, is the most traveled highway in North America. Right? So you come down here, here's the 401. This stretch of highway is the most traveled highway in North America, right? Because you got Toronto and it services Pickering, Scarborough, North York, and you have people like commuting into Toronto, right? You people commute into Toronto over and over and over again every single day. It's a disaster. It's an economic and it's an environmental disaster. And so the transportation industry, let's shut this down. Let people work from home. Let people stay home. Stop with this absurd, obscene commuting culture that we've built. And then on top of that, what's the second thing? Food industry, right? Specifically fast food. Specifically fast food. Like, just like, shut these bitches down. Like, forget about it. Who gives a shit about McDonald's? Who gives a shit about Burger King? Like, are you kidding me? That we are literally creating like ecological disasters right in front of our face. And like not just ecological disasters in regards to like the methane that comes out of the cows and like and this absurd kind of cow thing, but also the fact that we are actually clear cutting the Amazon in order to have burgers. Like, this is how fucking stupid we are. This is how stupid Americans and this is how stupid capitalists are, that we're clear cutting huge sections of the Amazon, which we need in order to actually push back against this climate change issue. Nah, we gotta clear cut that. It's gotta go. Right? Same story over here with the Fairy Creek situation. Fairy Creek situation, right in this region, Vancouver, right? Vancouver Island. People want to cut down old growth forests. They want to go in and they want to take these big giant trees and they want to cut a single tree down and sell it for $100,000. That's what they want, right? They want to cut down these old growth forests. What do you think that's going to lead to? What do you think's going to happen? Like, what do you think's going to happen? And like, there just comes a point, like, the people who are looking at me and saying like, oh, don't worry, humanity will adapt. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? The sun will scorch us off the face of the planet. You understand? That the sun is going to blaze onto us. The UV radiation is going to get caught in the atmosphere, and we are going to get cooked alive on the planet. We're not adapting to that. We're not that would be like putting a live turkey inside of an oven and just cranking up the heat and saying, the turkey will just adapt. Fucking no, it won't. It'll burn to death. That's what's going to happen to us. For sure it's going to happen to us if we keep doing this. If we just keep stupidly moving forward, and if we keep stupidly voting for people who keep making stupid decisions and like small limp concessions like banning straws. Banning straws? Like, are you kidding me? That's all the liberals have managed to do. They put in their little tiny carbon tax, which has all the liberals going like, oh, little tiny carbon tax. Yeah, little tiny carbon tax. That's going to help. And then banning straws. Like, nah, these guys don't give a fuck. Like, they don't care. They think that they're going to be able to retreat into their gated communities. They think that they're going to be able to like live in their like little cloistered communities and put like a little eco dome or something above them, right? While the rest of us just get wiped right out, right? That's their strategy. That's what their plan is. It's not going to fucking work. Like, it's not going to work at all. We're just going to get totally owned. And like, meanwhile, Elon Musk is like scrambling to fire rockets at Mars and shit. Like, it's actually like, if it wasn't so absurdly heartbreaking, it would be a ridiculous comedy. Like a Rick and Morty style comedy. That like, a people are actively building things to destroy themselves, which they claim are the things that they're going to use to save themselves. Like literally like building technology. Like, I remember at the start of this whole thing, somebody was like, oh, we'll just build like a CO2 scrubber, right? So we'll spend all this time and burn a bunch of fossil fuels and like craft and research and do all this kind of stuff and pollute the environment to create the CO2 scrubber. And I literally look at them and you go like, you mean like a tree? You mean like a tree, right? Like a CO2 scrubber, that's what you're talking about, a tree, right? So instead of burning a bunch of fossil fuels and like forging metal and spewing poison into the atmosphere, how about you just don't do any of that and plant a whole bunch of fucking trees? How about that? Right? And we've seen how that's been successful. China has had major successes. You can see how it's got like a fairly large desert region. And there's one area, I'm going to get this figured out. Where is China's Sea of Death? China, the Sea of Death. Right? That's the name of it. So this is a place in China that's called the Sea of Death, right? It's in Xinjiang. As you can see, right? As you can see, it's just like a desert. It's on the same kind of scale and level as the Sahara, right? And they are having big successes. You can see how there's these green areas here. They're having big successes by planting trees. Just planting trees. Try and get more moisture into the region. The Sahara Desert as well, they're having successes. You can see here how there's green and then there's this other color right here, right? This is them planting a tree line to try and prevent the Sahara Desert from continuing to wipe out Africa, and they're succeeding, right? They're succeeding at this. That they're planting this tree line. And it's not just plant it once and then walk away, right? It's constantly updating it. Push it back. Because, like, this desert can encroach and wipe us out, right? Just like this desert's going to encroach and wipe us out, right? And we need to be planting trees like mad. Like, we need to be planting trees like mad. The liberals are like, we planted 1 million trees. And I'm like, cool. You planted 1 million trees. How about planting 1 billion? How about planting like 100 billion? Like, build your entire economy around planting trees. Forget this nonsense of like, we're going to go to the Amazon and we're going to clear cut important infrastructure all through the Amazon so that we can raise cattle to get juicy, delicious burgers. Delicious burgers, which we'll eat every day. We'll eat the burgers until the sun burns us to death. Like, that's how stupid these fucking guys are. Like, this is how stupid these capitalists have become. It's just unbelievable. We need net zero before 2030 now that the billionaires have delayed our reaction to climate change so much. Exactly. And, like, the billionaire class is going to just keep acting this way, right? They are sociopaths. They're not actually interested. Like, their idea of how to deal with this is to, like, create a gated community. Like, quite seriously. Did I actually save this bookmark? I hope I did. No, get out of there. Bookmarks. I hope I did. U.S. military base, the Harvard study. I'm actually going to open this one, because I want to talk about that later. No, I friggin' didn't save this. I have this, there's this, oh, is this it? Yes. American Apocalypse, what it looks like when the empire... Yes, in a 2018 article, media theorist and futurist Douglas Rushkoff wrote an account of his experience with being paid to speak at a deluxe private resort on the subject of the future technology, right? So, and this is what he found. After a bit of small talk, I realized they had no interest in the information I had prepared about the future of technology. They had come up with questions of their own. Which region will be less affected by the coming climate crisis? New Zealand or Alaska? Finally, the CEO of a brokerage house explained that he had nearly completed building his own underground bunker system and asked, how do I maintain authority over my security force after the event? The event, that was their euphemism for the environmental collapse, social unrest, nuclear explosion, unstoppable virus, or Mr. Robot hack that takes everything down. They knew armed guards would be required to protect their compounds from the angry mobs. But how would they pay the guards once money was worthless? What would stop the guards from choosing their own leader? The billionaires considered using special combination locks on the food supply that only they knew, or making guards wear disciplinary collars of some kind in return for survival. These people are fucking nightmare sociopaths, you understand? No one is talking about how do we prevent the crisis. Nobody is talking about how do we stop climate change from happening. They're only interested in positioning themselves after the event so that they can maintain their prestige and authority and domination. Literally making guards wear disciplinary collars, locking the food supply away. These people are fucking sociopaths. These people are fucking sociopaths. Yeah. Our techno lord saviors such as the Elon. I like that, the Elon. All praise the Elon. Elon be praised. Will save us from the disaster with their giant brains. Yeah, right. Old growth has legacy biology that can't be replaced. Yep, that's right. That's what they're finding. That the narrative that they were going to be able to go into Fairy Creek and just selectively log has fallen apart. That no longer exists, right? So once they start logging the old growth forest, that's it. It doesn't come back, right? So don't. Just don't. Once again, it's a just stop doing shit kind of deal. We literally just need to stop doing shit. We should be planting hemp to make textiles because apparently it carbon captures like 30% faster than trees. It can make plastic, plyboard, and other materials I wouldn't have expected. Hemp is a miracle, right? It is a miracle. The reason why marijuana got banned throughout North America and Canada was actually because of the hemp industry, right? That the hemp industry was such a threat to the cotton industry, to the lumber industry. It was an enormous threat to even the alcohol industry, the tobacco industry, right? Hemp represented a large-scale threat to multiple industries, so they banned it, right? And the only reason they banned it was because it was easy to grow, anybody could grow it, and it was more effective than their material, and they knew it, right? So this idea that, like, anytime any capitalist said, oh, capitalism innovates, I'm like, really? Take a look at what they did to hemp. Take a look at what they did to this miracle crop that would actually resolve a lot of problems for us because it carbon captures faster, it can grow and be harvested and used faster than lumber, right? Like, it's this absolute miracle crop. And we just, for the last 100 years, have completely abolished it and completely banned it, right? Like when we went across the United States and massacred all the buffalo, right? Yeah, capitalism really friggin' innovated there, eh? Yeah, the innovation of how to commit a genocide against the First Nations people. Let's massacre the stewards of the land. The buffalo were just eradicated from North America. In large-scale mass quantities. And, like, we could just start growing hemp. We could just start doing that. We could start doing it now. There's nothing stopping us except some, like, barbaric backwards laws that are that were erected by slave owners in the first place. Like, fuck this shit. Like, fuck that. That's so stupid. Well, and we're a very stupid people, so it makes sense. Humans are agrarian by nature. I actually think that that's probably... Again? Oh, man. Earth.